and now quickly my baseball experience. In the 60s, I used to ride my bike down to Mickelson Field, play small fry and Pee Wee League baseball. And I also noticed you guys have tryouts in January and February for these kids now. What a difference about 4 decades have made. About this time in grade school, I recall a moment at the Mickelson ice rink in the warming house when a grade school friend came into the warming house asking me if I could play goalie for the grade school team. I looked down at my figure skates and said, sure. What happened next ended my aspirations of becoming a big-time hockey goalie. I saved about 50 shots, and the final score, them 22, Roosevelt Grade School zip. I was done with hockey. I don't recall what the next level of baseball was, but I think Babe Ruth, the team life, and a gentleman named Mark Owens was the manager. Then on to Legion Baseball, then to college, Arizona State professional baseball. And one of the things that's kind of interesting here, if Chris Coast is still in the audience, a scout named Sandy Johnson signed me in 1972. He was with the Brewers at the time. I believe he's still the, or is currently the assistant general manager with the New York Mets. And Chris, when you talk to him next, let him know that he finally got his Fargo player. And that's a great thing. Sandy's a great man. And by the way, congratulations, Chris, on that deal. I returned to ASU, completed my education, and then Bob Kennedy, the GM of the Cubs, called and asked if I wanted to return to baseball, and I said absolutely. Mr. Kennedy was the guy that told me as an outfielder to look at the green part of the infield and throw to it. So any outfielders out here tonight, when you're out in the outfield, take a look at the infield grass or artificial turf or whatever you're playing on, and you'll notice it's about that thick. Do yourselves a favor and throw at it every time. Forget the cutoff, man. Throw the green thing. One hop every time to the catcher, and if you hit that spot, it is one hop to the catcher. He was absolutely right. And then one day he brought out Stan the Man, Musial, and one of the guys on the team asked Stan, he said, when do you feel as a hitter you're in a slump? His answer, when I go 0 for 2 in the game. He then explained that he might be driving the ball but right at someone, so he'd do this. He'd move up or back a couple of inches in the box, change the angles on the field. Now he explained when he would drive the ball, it was in the gaps. He changed the angles, changed the number of feet in an area that either an infielder couldn't cover or an outfielder couldn't cover as well. After that season of '77, Mr. Kennedy asked if I wanted to go to Japan. I pretty much figured it was over for me at that point. I declined that. In '79, I got a call from the Padres to go play in Hawaii with the famed Islanders. I didn't pursue that either, but what a nice opportunity that would have been. Why I pursued baseball, it really began in earnest with that gentleman I mentioned, Mark Owens. He was the one that made me begin to think I might excel in this sport. We'd ride our bikes from Kennedy Court in Fargo down to the 11th Avenue Mickelson Field, be greeted by first Ed Garella and then Marley Swanson. If they were umpiring that day, and they almost always were umpiring our games in the summer, but Mark Owens and a team named Life, in an age group 13 to 15, started my baseball saga. He noticed I was hitting from the right side at about a 195 clip, suggested I consider hitting left-handed. I did, and did it pretty well. Then he put things on note cards to work on. I did that, I began getting better as a player. He was a great teacher. Then on to American Legion and Coach Harder. The team of '69, also in our Legion Hall of Fame, was put together by Coach Harder, and talent we had at every position. Chico Munson, our little left-hander, reminded me later of Ed Bain, my ASU teammate, roommate, and Twins pitcher briefly. Crafty, could change speed and threw to spots. Dave Johnson, graceful and fast and could hit with authority. Mickey Anderson, wow to watch this guy run. Carl Oberholzer, Greg Selbo, Itzel, Neugebauer, team was good. The observation here, Coach Harder played me. But that year, Coach, well, before you go there, my nephew Brian sent to me the Fargo Forum newspaper clippings he had collected for that baseball year of '69. I had thought I was a superstar on that team. And after reviewing the articles, my bubble had been burst. I was a utility player. Well, Coach Harder must have had some great dreams that season, because at the end of the season, during the playoffs, the state, regional, and World Series held that year in Hastings, Nebraska, he put me out in right field. And I had a hot month, a month and a half. Coach, I never got the chance to thank you then, but let me thank you now. Thank you. Coach did not like to lose, and when we played Grand Forks, things always got a little more intense. We had great competition right here in the area. Greg Trolin, Chipper Linton, Phil Jackson, Paul Prethis, Barry Merritt, Jim Wiedemann, Glenn Hansen, Nagel, Kubik, Driscoll, Reisenauer from Jamestown. Tom McCormick, we played Stratomatic for hours. Charlie Fleck, we hit balls to each other for hours. And the only guy that Coach ever really showed favoritism to on that 1969 team was Mike Williams, our bat boy. And he was quite a bat boy. Mr. Palmer, the big bus driver, Mr. Thomas, Mr. Schilling, always there, always encouraging, fond memories, and a final thought or two before I end tonight. Mr. Hank Aaron is the all-time home run king. My hero growing up in Fargo, I always wanted to be the next Roger Maris from Fargo, North Dakota. He is my single-season home run king. Roger Maris, whether I've been in San Francisco, St. Louis, or Chicago, he is 61. And if you're listening, baseball, take the asterisk off his single-season accomplishment and put this gentleman from Fargo, North Dakota into the National Major League Baseball Hall of Fame. Thank you.
Kent, I believe you also have the proud honor of having the fewest technical fouls assessed you of any member of the Jacobson clan. Pretty easy to do, actually, considering the company you're carrying around here.